All right. Here we are. It is the Monday morning, albeit a really wet Monday morning. It's raining cats, dogs, farm animals, and even farm buildings as well at this point in time. Wherever it is that you are, you're tuned into your love music, love live station Smooth 98.1. It is 31 minutes past 7 a.m. Ayokunmi Kikere. Right here with you, ready to walk you through the big stories in the papers for the first time this week. Welcome to a week of unfathomable opportunities, grace, and everything in between. Joining me to take a look at the stories, I'm doing this in reverse. I just want to bring in the fine gentlemen joining me on the show on a Monday who have braved hell and high water to be here in the studio. Mr. C and, of course, AB Bozimo are here. AB, good morning to you.
Good morning, Sir Ayo. We missed you on Friday. Be consoled. Mr. C, great to see you. And let's get through national priorities, such as they are, through the stories today.
Yes, indeed, Mr. C. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Lagos.
All right. Yes, indeed, Mr. C. I need to give you props for finding your way into the studio because I honestly thought you would end up, joining us online. But you're here. Mr. C is a real trooper. You need to give him his flowers, really and truly. All right. To join us this morning, WhatsApp is one way. YouTube is another way. The WhatsApp number is 0911 999 981 999 0981. In case you don't have that number, it's the new and improved WhatsApp number. So out with the old, save this one. You can keep up with us. Also, we are on YouTube at Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Join us, leave a comment in the chat section right there, and I'll be taking them with the WhatsApp messages as well. All right, Mr. C, let's begin talking about matters that have to do with the media. Yes, our fellow brothers in the radio. And this is coming out of the Vanguard. We're heading to Niger State, where the Nigerian Guild of Editors, the NGE, has condemned the closure of Badegi Radio by Governor Mohammed Umar Bago of Niger State, describing it as a blatant attack on press freedom and democracy. Now, according to the Guild, this act of censorship and intimidation undermines the fundamental principles of a democratic society where free press is essential for holding those in power accountable. If you remember, on the 1st of August, the governor issued the directive during an expanded Niger State APC caucus meeting in Minna. It's nuts what tends to go on in, when we talk about the media and censorship and gagging and so on and so forth. And, to add to all this, there's also reports, also in the Vanguard, that the state government has ordered the demolition of the structure housing the radio station. Let's just see what exactly is going on here.
Okay, thank you. So, to answer your last question first, we're not sure what's going on. So, at some APC caucus meeting, which incidentally had in attendance the Minister for Information. Now, why is this important? The Minister for Information superintends the National Broadcasting Commission, which is one of the agencies under this ministry. Now, the state governor, ordered the closure of a radio station for what? Inciting violence in the society. In simple English, what does that even mean? Inciting violence in the society without citing any examples doesn't convey a lot of meaning or substance. Now, to educate the listeners out there, no government, federal or state or even local government, has the power to order the shutdown of any radio or television station. We must make that very clear. The power to do that rests solely with the Nigerian Broadcasting Commission.
Right.
And if you feel offended by any decision given by them and you exhaust all the internal appeal mechanisms, you can then proceed to court. Now, we have a state governor saying they're inciting violence against his government, and he's ordered the closure, and he's also ordered that the building housing the station be demolished. Now, it's good to note, and I must commend the Minister of Information for this. He reportedly advised him on the spot that, given the nature of his complaint, it will be proper for him to file a complaint or petition to the Nigerian Broadcasting Commission
Right.
and let them take it up from there. So I must commend him for that he did not keep quiet. He wasn't intimidated. Now, with regards to the demolition of the building, sadly, there isn't much that can be done because with regards to physical planning, building maintenance, control standards, and the like, it usually rests with the state government. And I fear that given the nature of this dispute, they will quickly rush to demolish, knowing that they don't have any substantive case with the NBC, because I'm pretty sure they can't back up that allegation. No, I'm not holding brief for the radio station. They've been accused of inciting violence. Under the rules of natural justice, you cannot be the accuser, you cannot be the jury, you cannot be the judge, you cannot be the executioner. Having accused them of an offense like that, it only makes sense that they be given the opportunity to respond.
Right.
And it's when you take both the complaint and the response, you weigh them side by side. If it is now deemed that the response is insufficient, the radio station may be made to produce a formal apology or even pay a fine. But going quickly to demolish raises questions. What is the haste in demolishing? You've ordered that the station be closed, and you've been told it cannot be closed. You then say demolish. Now, we're in a democracy, supposedly, where freedom of speech is one of the rights guaranteed by the Constitution. If you feel you've been defamed, proceed to court in a defamation suit. Now, this is a Niger state government, which incidentally is dealing with two pertinent and crippling issues concurrently. Issue number one, the issue of floods. They've advised 19 communities to go up land. Now, while that advice is good, when you say move upland to where? Did you keep land for them somewhere? Did you keep buildings or properties for them? Are they just supposed to move into the open and be subjected to the elements of the weather? So when you say move upland, you need money to do that. Nigeria has a housing shortage. Let's not deceive ourselves.
Right.
So he wants them to move upland. How? How and when? True. There are parts of his state that are still controlled by non-state actors. He's not dealing with that. He's not showing his mettle, his resolve in those areas. Now it's a media station. He says they shut down immediately. So we're becoming, I fear that an increasing wave of intolerance is sweeping across the country from all levels. And if we truly say our democracy is nascent, it needs to continue to grow, these sort of things need to stop. If he truly has a case, and I'm ending now, proceed to the NBC, or better still, proceed to court. In either form, you will produce the evidence that goes beyond inciting violence against the state, because that absolutely does not carry any meaning or substance.
There's so much to actually unpack here. I mean, looking at what is going on, it just gives you the sense that any other, should I say, state government or state governor, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but looking at this sort of thing and looking at the history that we have in terms of dealings with the media and everything, Mr. C, you're right. I mean, this should go through proper process. The NBC should be the ones to deal with this. But I mean, from talking about the station inciting all sorts of things to then marking the building housing the station for demolition, I mean, that is going from 0 to 1 million very, very, very quickly. And that we need to deal with. All right. So, excuse me. Join us and share your thoughts on this particular matter. On WhatsApp, the number is 0911 999 0911 999 And that is the number to get across to us. Also on YouTube, you can find us at Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Smooth 981 FM Lagos. All right. AB, let us continue on our journey this morning. And as Mr. C just alluded to, talking about what's going on in Niger State, the government warning 19 communities to evacuate as wash away farmlands. This is in the Daily Post. The Niger State government has issued another warning for communities living along floodplains to move to higher grounds, just as an early morning rain on Sunday washed away farms in the Lapai and Pakuru local government areas. Now, in Lapai LG, a total of 18 communities were affected, where some farmlands were washed away while many others are said to be at the risk of being swept away. This is the same Niger State where we had flooding in Mokwa and so much devastation, death, and so on and so forth. We also remember large amounts of monies had been spent beforehand in order to put things together, mitigate against this sort of situation. And then the questions will always still come up. How exactly were those monies spent? And once again, where are these people evacuating to?
That is exactly the question. In the story, they talk about how resources have been expended surveying the area, and you just give a blanket statement. Let's start from the top. The goal is the preservation of life, which is a proper, appropriate, and noble goal. So you say relocate to higher areas. Like Mr. Say has pointed out, higher areas without human facilities and shelter are irrelevant to human beings who need support. So unless you have created emergency residences of some form, then it's not about being higher. Maybe you can take them to somewhere else that there's housing. Then, you hear this part of it where you talk about the NIMET has highlighted the number of places that. So NIMET, I think we're in the beginning of August. If you may recall, NIMET typically, properly gave some of these warnings as early as January of 2026. In that
25.
time, no, okay, 25. I'm already running. I'm closer to the election. Sorry, 2025. In that time, it would have been possible to create some forms of makeshift settlement. I don't say houses. Settlements involve not just the buildings, but associated facilities in anticipation. But rather, that state government has been getting into the headlines for all the wrong reasons. Was it not the same state government that tried to ban people with the Rastafarian hairstyle for a minute, then step back? Now they're closing radio stations. These are all the wrong reasons. This is the state that has a landmass that is the largest in Nigeria, that ostensibly could feed the entire Nigeria and indeed West Africa if the resource of that land were being put to good agricultural use. But no, here you just tell people, and then the key thing they say, they should relocate to higher areas pending the end of the rainy season. So, this is even supposed to be a temporary thing. After the rainy season, they should come back to this. You see, I don't see futuristic thinking. I don't see people with a vision in terms of the official persons in the government. And this is not a full-term solution. Yes, people are attached to their ancestral lands. That is the truth. But you must make the alternatives attractive, and you must indeed give people some rights to wherever you ask them to relocate to, so that they can make these new lands, if you will, their new ancestral lands. I just find the announcements, the backup, the supposed support system non-existent. And so government in this case is being highly inefficient. But like we said in the earlier story, I bet the efficiency will be shown in the demolition process. That, as they say, now there you go find them. You will find them right there demolishing perhaps before the close of business today. Even if the radio station gets a court order to stop them, I doubt that they will obey, because the government is behaving like a 3-year-old who is piqued over having not got their way. It's unfortunate. So we're hearing about flooding that's coming there. Lives are going to potentially be lost, property certainly, and no cogent response from government that shows that government got the same news as we all got in January of 2025.
All right, thank you very much for that. AB, Mr. C, let's talk about Ojulari right now. That has been something that has raged back and forth over the weekend and so on and so forth. Now, we're stepping into the vanguard here, where it says that tension and confusion continue to mount within Nigeria's oil and gas sector following unconfirmed reports that the group chief executive officer of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPC, or Mr. Ojulari, may have resigned from office. Now, more than 24 hours after after the reports first surfaced online. The presidency and the National Oil Company have maintained silence on the matter, fueling speculation and anxiety across the industry. I mean, Mr. Ojulari has been in this position for about a minute or thereabouts. And, I first saw the story that he had been forced to resign, hearing all sorts of different things and stories. I mean, these are the sort of things that we want to be hearing because he came into the office, what should I say, with a mandate to clean up house or clean house in the NNPCL. But now we're hearing all these funny things. What could be going on?
Honestly, very few people know what exactly is going on. Mr. Ojulari has been in office circa 100 days. And during that period, there have been some controversies around him, from the controversial retreat in Rwanda to his flip-flop on policies. In one breath, he said, "Oh, we're going to sell the refineries." Then he reverses that position a few days or a few weeks later and says, "No, we're not going to sell. We're going to continue pumping money." Now, here's where it gets scary and concerning for a country that wants to become a $1 trillion economy. The head of the NNPCL disappears since Friday. Reports suggest officials of two leading security agencies got him to resign. Now, we must point out that the two security agencies have officially denied.
On cue.
Now, we've gotten a one-line sentence from the presidency, one of the presidential aides, simply saying it's not true. But Mr. Ojulari has not been seen in public. The NNPCL cannot confirm his whereabouts. Nobody can confirm where he is, whether he's still alive, whether he's passed on, whether he's in the country, whether he's left the country. Now, this is deeply concerning. If he has committed an offense, the proper procedure is arraign him in court. Let him have his day in court. Let him respond to whatever charges you believe he's liable for. But this issue of disappearances, this is not China or North Korea. This is Nigeria. And we continue to pretend we're running a democracy. But with each increasing day, with each increasing moment, it's looking less and less like a democracy. Now, this is a Mr. Ojulari that has been summoned by the Senate on 4 different occasions and has failed to show up. Now, I think the next appearance is this week, but nobody knows where he is. And calls and text messages to his known numbers have not been responded, have not been answered. Now, the bigger question is this. You want investors to come to invest in your economy, and you're doing this to the head of your oil company, a full-blooded Nigerian citizen. Will that not trigger fear in the hearts of the foreigners who you expect to come in and invest long-term? What does this say about the process of law and order in this country? Because anybody coming to invest wants to see that there's a stable regulatory landscape that, with regards to law and order, he can predict to us with some degree of certainty that if I present this case based on case law and the facts, this should be the outcome.
Due process will be followed.
Yes. Now, more concerning is NNPCL does not have a chief spokesman because the last spokesperson resigned. He resigned in June. Iowa in August, no replacement. The NNPC board that has a chairman, nobody has spoken. For how long will we continue to do things in the house? And we pretend we're the giant of Africa, we're this, we're that. How is this different from behavior you'll find in countries like Somalia? How? And the president who is the minister of petroleum is quiet. The 2 ministers of state equally quiet.
We know nothing that is going on.
Exactly not. And this is a Nigerian citizen. Now, I'm not saying he's innocent, but he's not in charge of any crime. He's not known to have been charged with any offense. So I can't equally say he's guilty. So where is Mr. Ojulari?
And what exactly is his position right now?
Yes. No, first of all, let's even know where he is. If you want to fire him, you want to sack him from that job, that's fine. He serves at the pleasure of the person who appointed him. If you want to sack him, sack him. But you don't make people disappear. Now we hear off records, unconfirmed, that some powerful people are trying to save his job. Some other powerful people are trying to get him out, that they already have a replacement ready. Look, we don't need all of this. 4 state-owned refineries, none working. Money down the drain. Nobody's being held accountable.
It just seems like we enjoy barking up all the wrong trees. Really and truly. AB, yep, you have a word to add to this.
I mean, at the end of the day, this is a ministry headed by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Like Mr. C said, anybody serves utterly and absolutely at the pleasure of the president. He has the power to hire, equally the power to fire. And so nobody's job is guaranteed, or you can be told to leave, but it is improper, it is unprofessional, it is indeed negative for people, especially people in the public eye, to just be disappeared, so to speak. This is almost becoming like ICE in the US, where people just go and get their children and they disappear. Next thing they're in El Salvador or wherever. So we don't know whether Mr. Ojulari is in El Salvador. We don't know. But that's the whole point. We just don't know, and that is what's inappropriate. The president of Nigeria is the head of that ministry. He should be speaking, not even a spokesperson, or at worst, give a spokesperson the authority to speak on his behalf. But single line answers for such a prominent citizen are a disgrace.
Ade in Lagos here on WhatsApp says, what is happening in the United States? It's synonymous with the APC government, from the presidency to local government chairman. In the absence of the rule of law, impunity will be the order of the day. You can see this. You can see this government has destroyed all of our laws, value systems, culture. They've all been thrown to the dogs and have turned this country to a gangster paradise where anything goes, by renaming structures, institutions after themselves. Now, this attitude has been emulated by the APC sycophants that's decided to change street names and going off on a tangent. Are they not relevant to today's discussion? But your point, very, very well taken. Tayo just says, NNPC intended to go public on the stock exchange. Now, Engineer Ojulari has disappeared like Avatar Ang. In the face of corporate governance and market confidence, unknown cabal, I greet you especially. No wonder Dangote appointed a foreigner in his company. He doesn't want problems in his life. All right, keep those messages coming in. Thank you so very much. Right, AB, let us step back into the conversation. And this particular story, I think it has to do with morals, ethics. I don't know, any one of the two you want to actually pick. It's in the Premium Times, where the Katsina Emirate Council has appointed Hadi Sirika, a former aviation minister who is being prosecuted by the EFCC for multi-billion-naira fraud, as a traditional ruler. Now, Mr. Sirika was appointed as the Marusan Katsina, or district head of the Shagale in the Dutsi local government area. Now, he served as minister in former President Buhari's administration and was investigated by the EFCC after leaving office in 2023. Now, AB, we all know about Nigeria Airgate. So that is what I want to call it, and everything that surrounded that. Now, looking at the man who was, in the eye of that storm, he's been appointed as a traditional ruler. I mean, what does that say about us as a people, about values or lack of them thereof?
I won't waste time on this story because there's a much more interesting aviation-related story that Mr. C must take. I will just say the last image I saw of this man was when he was smiling sheepishly in front of a jet from Ethiopian Airlines that had been fraudulently painted in the supposed Air Nigeria colors. He, the late President Buhari, and other sheepish people were standing there looking lost and fraudulent that day. So he has been in court since. There are cases against him. At the end of the day, let's not even go to morals and ethics. If the people of his community feel that he's the man, you and the rest of us can't. If the Serikin whatever feels that of all the citizens in his emirate, this person who is associated with such fraud is the one who should be elevated to a chieftaincy, hey, I can't say no because it's not my village. In my village, an ex-governor who was jailed in London was received back with great fanfare, Ibori. So who am I to talk? Let's not talk morals and ethics. Please, let us go to the current story from Mr. C about the aviation industry in Lagos. Mr. C, you tee it up.
Yes, indeed. Stepping into the punch here. So I say flying into the punch since this is an aviation related story here. The African Democratic Congress has criticized the Bola Tinubu-led administration over its plan to spend more than 712 billion naira on renovating the Murtala Mohammed International
How
Airport.
much did you say? How much did you
in
say?
Lagos. 712 billion naira.
With a B.
Yes,
Go
indeed.
on.
With a B. Yes, with a B. Now, in a statement issued on Sunday, the party's national publicity secretary, Bolaji Abdullahi, described the expenditure as extravagant and a misplaced priority. Of course, the ADC have not been missing recently, been scoring the goals left, right, and center from impossible angles. Once again, we'll separate the messenger and the message on this one. Is the message something that is right on the mark, Mr. C?
So the ADC's point is well conceived. Look, forget their origins, forget where they're coming from, forget even the destination. What are they talking about? Does it resonate with what the people on the streets are talking about? Now, we must separate the issues. Is there a need to renovate the airport? Yes, there is a need, because that we've clearly outpaced whatever that terminal was set up to do. So clearly there's a need to do it. But there's a saying from the Bible: all things are lawful. All things are expedient, but not every expedient thing is lawful. Now, the fact that it is necessary to redo the terminal, is this the proper time to do it? Now, let me put some facts out there for the listeners to digest on, to ruminate on, to think on. Less than 5% of Nigeria's population today has passports, international passports. Let us think in. We're doing about what, 200 million?
Thereabouts, probably.
So we're talking about 8 million and below Nigerians have passports. And that's even a stretch. Because I think as at 2018 or 2019, only 4.5 million passports existed. We don't have the current figures, but it's easy to say, suffice to say, less than 5%. Now, 712.3 billion is $445 million today. $445.1 million today. Now, nurses who are on strike, why were they on strike? Unpaid salaries, unpaid allowances, and the like. Which other union was on strike earlier in the year? Doctors, resident doctors were also on strike.
Recently as well.
NNPC. Yes. Now, you embark on this jamboree, because that's what I'm going to call it. It has a 22-month period, which will not be 22 months. And they say they want to give us a smart international airport. Yes, it is a joy of every country to have smart international airports. Is that our most pressing problem here? Where ordinary Nigerians are struggling to eat. There are Nigerians who haven't eaten since Saturday. They are not sure they're going to eat today. They are not sure about tomorrow. Last week, we were talking about 3.5 million kids who would go malnourished. Another 1.3 that are not going to see any food, because the World Food Program, their warehouses had shut down because there were no more food supplies. Now, in the midst of all of this is another episode of how this government continues to show it is continually disconnected from the realities of the people it is supposedly governing. Outside the less than 5%, who else is supposed to be happier? How does this airport benefit the man in Jalingo? How does it benefit the man in Dutse, the man in Onitsha, the man in Oshogo? And let's not forget, in that same locality, in 2019, the late President Buhari commissioned a new terminal building that supposedly can handle 56 million passengers every year. So what is the rush to do this building? Was anything buried there? And it's just interesting that this 22-month period sort of perfectly aligns with the period left until the next elections. Why must it be done now? The first 2 years you didn't touch it. It's in the third year you touch it. And we all know from history in Nigeria that it's the third year governments start to raise money. It's the third year you see contracts flying out all over the place. So a lot of contracts signing, executions, they start contract, you see a flurry of projects, and then it goes quiet. How many people remember the regional road on the Lagos Epe Express Road, off the Lagos Epe Express Road? It started. There was a flyover on the main express road. Now vegetation has fully grown on it. And that was done in the run-up to an election.
Looks like rinse and repeat.
So again, the National Assembly, who should be talking, of course they're absent. I have no confidence in those chaps. And this money will be released. There are schools that are struggling for funding. UCH earlier in the year had a bill of about 400 something million.
With an M. Million.
Million. They couldn't pay. Lives of patients were put at risk. Now, it's been given to a Chinese company. Was the bid ever made public? Questions. But this is what they're determined to do, like the other Phantom project in Lagos Calabar. Again, another project, I don't know who it's benefit.
Right, AB, very quickly.
One sentence. This lack of ability to prioritize proper projects plagued Buhari when he too made that ill-fated railroad to Maradi. I don't see why you won't prioritize connecting your cities before you connect other places. Nothing wrong with projects, like Mr. C said. A project can be justified, but is the priority. When people have not eaten, you have no business beginning to renovate an airport when people have not eaten, when there is no sanitary facility in hundreds of facilities medically, when schools don't have solar panels. There are many other things to do with money before you begin to contemplate a project, no matter how noble it might be. It's simply poor prioritization and typical of this government.
Alrighty. On that note, let me take your messages. Let me run through all of them really quickly here. This is from Emeka. Emeka says, during the time of Idi Amin in Uganda, government officials disappeared at will and were never found again. Is that what we are seeing here? I really hope not. I really, really hope not. Tony Nisola says, thanks, Mr. C, for your analysis of the MD situation. I believe this administration will take the country to a place worse than North Korea. Do you know how bad North Korea is to say that we're heading that direction? I shudder. Dean Lagos says the NNPC boss has been forcefully made to resign by some APC psychopaths this past week, and he has dropped his resignation letter. Ade, do you have any evidence of that? Were you at the sign of said letter? Do you know something that we don't? Please let us be very careful with our assertions. Tony Nikeja says the Ojulari case clearly proves that nepotism breeds anyhowness. It was clearly proven during the Buhari era, and the man who claimed that it was his turn to continue where Buhari stopped sustained that practice. To think that Tinubu's team would do any better amounts to wishful thinking. After all, it's their turn to do just what their predecessors did in their ministries, department, and parastatals as well. Gilbert Nusa in Festac says, on the flood challenge currently in Niger States, the floods of Edo and Kogi states in 2012 should have been a master plan for a national flood prevention scheme in Nigeria to check future flood crisis. Looking forward, do we do that? Nah, it's a concept to us. Tayo Nija says, congrats to Hadi Sirika on his appointment as traditional chief. Some of us in this country will open their eyes for people to pour dirt in it, and they will say, oh, more we say. That MMA airport needs upgrade, but by God, 712 billion, it is well. It is very well indeed. All right, I need to wrap it up on the show this morning. Thank you all so much for all the messages. And thank you to Mr. C and, of course, AB for making it a very, very interesting start to AB.
Yay, WhatsApp is back. Great. Thank you all so much for the opportunity. Sometimes you hear these stories, they have the potential to make your week look cloudy, but put on the brightest smile, take the most positive steps forward, and be the difference in your life and environment that you know you are capable of being. A positive difference.
Thank you, Lions. Thank you, AB. Like AB said, yeah, depressing stories, but let's work. Let's do what we have to do. Let's continue to grind. And yes, our efforts will turn out in success and will be fruitful and profitable.
Amen to that. All right. Thank you once again for being a part of the show this morning. Keep it tuned to the Smooth Breakfast 8:15. We'll take a walk into the locker room where it's sports all the way.